Hey guys, how's it going? So, this is going to be part two of my favorite 40 live albums of all time, and I'm only going to be showing albums, vinyl albums, and albums. Obviously, they have to be part of my collection. Just did episode number one where I covered 40 through 31. Today, I'm going to be working my way through 30 up to 21. So get started right away with one of my favorite prog bands. This is Genesis, just simply titled Genesis Live. And this covers a couple of their early Peter Gabriel Genesis era albums. You've got Watcher of the Skies and Get 'Em Out by Friday, which were off Foxtrot, which was the studio album right before this one. You've got a couple from Nursery Crime, The Return of Giant Hogweed, which might be my favorite song off of Nursery Crime. And then you've got the epic musical box to start off side two. And then you've got the song The Knife, which I believe was off Trespass. So yeah, this could have been a double live album. I'm interested why they did not put out a double live album, unless maybe they thought it wouldn't sell. Genesis was still relatively unknown, I think, over in the States. But nonetheless, this is a great, fantastic live album. Just shows how great an early progressive rock band they were. And if you really dig Peter Gabriel, this is the live Genesis album for you. Number 29. This is going to be a relatively newer pick. I just got this the early part of this year, but an amazing live album. I almost did the box set, but I'm like, it's not fair to show a live box set. So I went with this one instead, but this one is fantastic. This was either right before or right after The River was released. I'm not sure my Bruce Springsteen timeline, but this sounds incredible. This was from the legendary 1979 No Nukes concert, so it wasn't exclusively a Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band concert, but what an amazing set list this was. Prove It All Night, Badlands, you got Thunder Road, Jungle Land on here, Born to Run, and I love the Detroit medley on here. You've got Quarter to Three, which was a Gary U.S. Bonds cover, Rave On, of course, the classic Buddy Holly, but great set, and I love it. It sounds fantastic, and had to put this in my top 40. Third, or what are we on? 28, almost said 38, but I'm not gonna slip up this time. So number 28, this double album. This is Simon & Garfunkel, The Concert in Central Park. I think they've come out with a couple Simon & Garfunkel live albums since this time, but this one I think came out in 1981, and I don't think many people really thought that Simon and Garfunkel were going to be reuniting. There had been some animosity there, but they came together. I think they tried to record a studio album after this, and it just didn't pan out. But a great, not only Simon and Garfunkel material here, but you've also got some Paul Simon tracks of note. You got Mrs. Robinson, Homeward Bound, America, then the classic Paul Simon, Me and Julio, Down by the Schoolyard. It's very cool to hear the two of them harmonizing and kind of wondering what might have been had they stayed together and had performed some of this Paul Simon material into the 70s. April Come She Will, they do the Everly Brothers Wake Up Little Susie, which is great to hear them harmonize on that. Still crazy after all these years. American Tune, Late in the Evening. So it's somewhat heavy on the Paul Simon material. I'm not sure how Art Garfunkel felt about that, but Slip Sliding Away. You got Kodachrome, Bridge Over Troubled Water. I would say there's like half this album is Paul Simon tunes, but still a great document. I've never seen, I think I've just seen pieces of the actual film concert of this, but this has done me just fine, and I love this live album. Number 27, another relatively recent purchase, relatively recent release, but I love this album so much. This is Roger Waters' Us and Them, and it's a situation where Roger Waters does almost all Pink Floyd stuff. There's a couple of his solo stuff here, but the big debate for me has always been, well, who was better live, Roger Waters or the David Gilmour led Pink Floyd? And I'm almost leaning toward Roger Waters just because I'm a huge Roger Waters guy. But I love how you got the intro here, Speak to Me, Breathe, and then not into On the Run. It goes right into One of These Days, one of my favorite tracks off Metal. Then you got Time, then the Breathe reprise, and Great Gig in the Sky. So I love how they sandwich in One of These Days into here. Welcome to the Machine is great. Then you've got a couple of Roger Waters tracks, but then on side C, you've got Wish You Were Here, Happiest Days of Our Lives, and then Another Brick in the Wall 2, Another Brick in the Wall 3. So this is a triple album, and I love that you've got some Dark Side stuff on here, Money, Us and Them, Brain Damage, Eclipse. But just a great, great live album. I wish I could have seen that. I wish I could have seen Roger Waters in person. He's come around, but I've always just had an excuse not to go. I'm regretting it now because I'm a huge, obviously, Pink Floyd fan, but also I'm a big Roger Waters guy. But this sounds amazing, and I love the set list on it. Number 26. Depeche Mode 101, and it might seem odd to people who are not big synth pop fans. Live album from a synth pop, isn't it all pre-recorded? Well, no, not actually. I was big when this came out. Got the cassette, got the VHS tape, which if you've not seen, it's sort of almost the real world a little bit. They somehow chose 5 or 6 teenagers at the time, and they bust them across the country to see Depeche Mode's final concert on their Music for the Masses tour, which was held at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, and that's where this concert comes from. But it's an entertaining watch if you ever get a chance. It's now on DVD, but if you ever get a chance, if you're a Depeche Mode fan to catch that movie, you will enjoy it. But yeah, I love, this is one of my favorite eras of Depeche Mode, the pre-Violator. I love Violator, but everything up to this point was just fantastic, and they do have a lot of great stuff on here. Everything Counts, Just Can't Get Enough, Strange Love, a lot of good stuff from the Music for the Masses album, Shake the Disease, but a lot of great stuff on here, and it doesn't stray very far from the studio stuff, but it's nice to hear kind of the crowd singing along, some of the other stuff that you get with a live concert. This is a double album, but I do enjoy it quite a bit. All right, so we are on to, what do we got? Number 25 now, Fleetwood Mac Live. This was released from the tour, which was right after the Tusk album. So it's interesting to hear some Tusk selections on here, like Over and Over and Sarah, Not That Funny. You got some good selections from Rumors and their self-titled album, Go Your Own Way, Don't Stop. They do a cover of the Beach Boys' Farmer's Daughter a cappella. I think this was a backstage warm-up that they did. I'm glad they included it on here. They got a great cover of the early Peter Green era Fleetwood Mac song, Oh Well, which Lindsey Buckingham totally makes his own. So yeah, there's some great, great material on here. And I know it doesn't have the best reputation for whatever reason. I think people thought, again, like sometimes a complaint is, they stuck a little too faithful to the studio arrangements, but I don't care. I think it's great, great live document of that tour. Number 24, U2, Under a Blood Red Sky. And I know this is a mini LP, but still, it's strong enough that I wanted to include it. This is really U2's classic era before they got kind of a little pretentious with The Unforgettable Fire and their masterpiece, The Joshua Tree, when they were still kind of, you could still call them like a new wave band, but you got their early stuff on here like Gloria, 11 O'Clock TikTok, some rare stuff. Party Girl is on here, but yeah, I think it's very cool. It's a nice companion piece to the Under a Blood Red Sky movie, which I also happen to have on VHS. Check that out if you're a U2 fan. But I love early U2 when they had that punk new wave edge to them, and this is a great collection to have. Number 23, have I mentioned Pink Floyd yet? Delicate Sound of Thunder. Now, I got the box set, like the expanded version of this, but I'm just going to be talking about this set right here. It's the double album. This was the tour for A Momentary Lapse of Reason after Roger Waters was gone. But I still, in spite of the fact it's got a lot of momentary lapse of reason stuff on here, I do like the fact you got Shine On You Crazy Diamond. The first side is mostly momentary lapse of reason stuff, but the second side with One of These Days, Time, Breathe in the Air, Money, Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, Wish You Were Here, Comfortably Numb, and Run Like Hell. So yeah, just because I love David Gilmour, I love Pink Floyd, and this really was the first proper, you had the second disc of Umaguma, or the first disc, whichever one it was, depending on where you stick the albums in the jacket or how you play them, but this was really technically the first Pink Floyd live album, and I love it just for that. Pulse might get the nod for me, but I don't have it on vinyl, so I'm going with Delicate Sound of Thunder. All right, number 22, gotta get some Stones in here. Stones have quite a few live albums, and this is Love You Live. This was released right after the Black and Blue album. Not my favorite Stones album. You got some Black and Blue stuff on here, but you got a great version of Honky Tonk Women, some stuff from that early Stones period, If You Can't Rock Me. They do some 60s reminiscing with Get Off My Cloud. You got Tumbling Dice, Fingerprint File, You Gotta Move from Sticky Fingers, You Can't Always Get What You Want off my favorite album, Let It Bleed. But then what's really cool is side 3, you've got them at the Alma Combo, and I know, it's sort of now that they released the Rolling Stones Alma Combo and on disc and on vinyl now, it's less impressive, this side 3, but back in the day, it was awesome to have this. It was in a real intimate setting. And you got them doing some of their classic, the blues stuff that inspired them, I guess is what I'm trying to say, like Manish Boy, Cracking Up, Little Red Rooster, which they did so great during the Brian Jones era, and also the Chuck Berry cover, Around and Around. So yeah, just amazing. They do on the 4th side, Brown Sugar, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Sympathy for the Devil. Side 4 is my favorite side on here, but you can't go wrong picking this one up. And number 21. Now, if you live in Detroit, Metro Detroit area, or you live in Michigan, they hand this out to you now when you're born in the hospital. And that is Bob Seger's Live Bullet. Every single person I know has a copy of this album. They played it all over the radio in the 70s. It's just one of those iconic. It was recorded, I believe, entirely at Cobo Hall, but it's Bob Seger in his prime, right before the Night Moves album. So you just had Beautiful Loser, a great album that came out, and he's just tearing it up. He looks a little bit like Linda Blair on The Exorcist on the cover. I don't know what the thing was in the 70s about. It's cool to have a blurry image on the cover of your double live album, but I don't care. This is so great. You got Nutbush City Limits, a cover of the Tina Turner, Ike Turner song, Traveling Man, Beautiful Loser, Jody Girl. So you got some deeper tracks on here before Bob Seger just started churning out hit after hit. Rambling Gambling Man, Heavy Music, those late 60s classic Seger singles are on here. Get Out of Denver, Let It Rock, that Chuck Berry cover. But yeah, I mean, so many people in Detroit grew up on a diet of this album and Bob Seger in general. And I've heard it around my house and on the radio since I can remember. But it is classic for a reason. And yeah, I mean, what can be said about it? Love Bob Seger. So that is part 2. Got 2 more to go. Let me know what would be on your list, how you feel about the selections that I've shown. If you've heard them, what's your opinion? Let me know. Bit of a short episode today, but hope you're all having a great Labor Day, and take care.